Thanks, Senator Klobuchar. Congressman Mulvaney.
Sure, and I'll preface these comments by saying I agree with the lady from Minnesota regarding the undesirability of brinksmanship, and the Senate is more than welcome to take up and pass our cut, cap, and balance bill from last year. That would end a lot of this discussion. But anyway, I return to unemployment insurance for a second, because I hear what Dr. Zandi says about, what matters most is that we get through these trying times, and I tend to agree with that, but I also hope that we get through them in such a fashion that doesn't bankrupt the states. In looking through Commissioner Everson's testimony, I see that Indiana's circumstance is only slightly worse than ours in South Carolina. We've gone from a $600 or $800 million surplus at the beginning of this decade to owing the federal government almost $800 million, a 1.5 or 6 trillion, billion dollar swing. You've been here too long now. Trillion comes out of my mouth too easily. So I want to press you, Ms. Conti, specifically on what's wrong with drug testing. What's wrong with looking at that as a reasonable way to cut costs and, more importantly, perhaps, to make sure that this benefit is going to those truly in need and not to those who are taking advantage of the system?
Sir, I think what I would say by introduction is it's a solution in search of a problem. There is no evidence, statistical or otherwise, to show that there is any sort of broad-based epidemic or even significant drug use among the people who are receiving unemployment insurance today. 20 states in their UI law already provide that if you lose your job because of some sort of drug abuse, either you're using drugs on the job, you're intoxicated on the job, you fail a drug test, you're ineligible for unemployment insurance.
How many states?
There's 20 states that have it explicitly in law.
It's not 50?
Let me finish. The vast majority of other states have that exact same prohibition in case law that has developed around the law of misconduct. If you lose a job because of misconduct, you are generally disqualified from receiving unemployment insurance as well. Misconduct or gross misconduct.
But you're talking about something else, which is drug use on the job and the reason for the discharge.
Or failing a drug test, even if you were not using drugs on the job.
I'm talking about as a prerequisite to receive the entitlement. Not what got you fired, but what is
But I'm saying
related to
within the
receiving
UI system, there's already adequate protection against it. I would also point to some recent...
Let me stop you because you're answering a different question. I didn't ask you if there was adequate protection for folks who get fired because they're using drugs. I'm talking about the entitlement.
Right.
What is wrong with asking people to take a drug test before they actually get their unemployment insurance check?
Well, first of all, there is no evidence that it's a problem in the first instance that there are all of these drug users getting unemployment. It is an unfair and mean-spirited, we believe, stigmatization of people who are unemployed through no fault of their own. It is the bad economy that is prohibiting them from getting jobs. It is not drug use. And we can look to some recent examples. I'd point to Indiana in general, that just started, or just recently in last year, conducted a pilot program. It was testing people who were getting job training, who are people by definition who are either unemployed or underemployed and want to better themselves. To the tune of $45,000, I believe they tested about 13,000 workers, and 13 tested positive. That was $3,500 per worker. Whereas that money could have been spent, we believe, much more productively on high-impact reemployment services for workers that would get more people into jobs, which is what we say we all want to use the UI system to do.
Could I comment on that since Indiana's been drawn into this?
Sure.
When I got to my job 2 years ago, I toured the state, and I was repeatedly told, Mark, you guys do a great job. We run the unemployment insurance system and the worker training system. But you keep sending us people who, when we tell them you're going to have to take a drug test, they say, thank you very much and goodbye. And what I did was I went back to my office and I said, well, what can we do about this? In WIA, the program that's the enabling statute for the biggest training program, it said specifically since '98 that no state could prohibit the workforce development system from having a drug test. And I checked into this, and we did it. It's exactly correct. And our rate, our failure rate, since July 1, when we put it in, is 2.2%. 2.2%. That compares to about 3% in the private sector, which is the failure rate for pre-employment drug screening. Most people don't show up when they know that they're going to take a drug test if they're using drugs.
Isn't there a deterrent effect?
That's the point, and that's the point.
Once the state starts to do this, Ms. Conti, don't you think it will deter people from either doing drugs in the first place or showing up to collect their benefits if they know they're going to be tested.
It could equally encourage people to find out how to do the proper type of fasting and cleansing processes for 3 to 7 days before they have to take the drug test in order to beat the test. Again, we're assuming that there's some sort of widespread problem among those receiving unemployment, that they're not getting jobs because they're using drugs.
No, I'm not. I can see how you might think that. I'm assuming that the state knows best how to implement its own unemployment insurance program. They are on the, my guess is you probably haven't talked to many employers in Indiana, neither have I. And there may not be a difficulty in North Dakota, there may be a difficulty in Florida, and I'm simply suggesting that the states are more effective at doing that, but I'll continue this line of questioning next time around.
Thanks very much, Vice Chairman Brady.
Thank you, Chairman. And again, thank you.